FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Dick Cheney would come to Washington with an agenda of strengthening the presidency. The agenda has been so far exceeded, and I also thought it's necessary to explain to the world that it was a false agenda. The presidency hadn't been weakened, as Cheney says, because of Vietnam and Watergate. By the time Ronald Reagan left the office, it was already back way beyond the imperial presidency of Richard Nixon. Many people rightly analyze the Clinton presidency and say, well, he was an imperial president. In many ways, he was. He had powers that far exceeded anything Nixon had. But it's gone beyond that. We now have a concept that people had never heard of until Sam Alito was nominated for the Supreme Court, and suddenly this weird, innocuous, kind of meaningless and harmless sounding term, unitary executive theory, emerged, where members of the Senate had never heard this term, but they found out he had been giving all these speeches to people like the Federalist Society advocating a unitary executive. Well, what in the world was that? This in a short, which I explained in some detail in the book, is part of the new Republican agenda. This isn't just a few people. This is party-wide in the conservative movement. They have now subscribed to this fact that we must have a overpowering presidency. The president, particularly in the area of foreign affairs, dominates the courts, he dominates the Congress, he can't even be questioned. Bush's so-called signing statements, which he has had an outpouring of. Every president has issued signing statements saying he disagreed with this or that law. Bush has issued signing statement after signing statement, even when the Republicans controlled the Congress and were sending him the legislation he wanted. He would say, well, this provision I can't agree upon because it conflicts with the unitary executive theory. He believes he is a unitary executive, that he is beyond the reach of Congress and the courts, that he can act independently under powers in the Constitution. Well, this was cooked up by a group of very bright lawyers over at the Office of Legal Counsel in the Reagan administration, who started it with the concept of giving Reagan more power over the independent regulatory agencies of the executive branch. Based on some language, some very loose language that was never meant to be interpreted as any kind of doctrine, by Alexander Hamilton in one of the Federalist Papers, where he's talking about the unitary executive. What he actually is talking about is the fact that we didn't have a council for the executive branch, but rather one person. But into that term, they have poured an enormous amount of power and stretched it and stretched it and stretched it. As Cheney's chief of staff explained at one point, he said, we're going to push this and push this and push this until somebody stops us. And that's exactly what they're doing. Most people aren't even aware of it, but they keep pushing. The only people who are going to stop it are you people and people who vote and learn about it and what they're planning to do. Because if another Republican president is elected, I guarantee you they will pick up exactly where this is leaving off.